Hello. Okay. Hi, everyone. And welcome to the Magical Witchy World TV. I am Star Ravenhawk.
And I am Rhonda Allen. Welcome back, everyone. I know we have been missing for a
It's been
few
a
weeks,
while.
but
It's
we're
been a
back.
minute.
It's
It's been a minute.
it's been a
Yes.
minute, and,
Now,
and we are so
and we're
excited
glad
to
to be back
introduce
tonight. We
you.
are. Yeah,
Yes,
I think we
yes.
went the whole month of October, but we're back and we've got a great guest. So now on with the show. All right. So tonight we want to welcome our guest, Jason Myers, aka the Rock Witch, to the Magical Witchy World TV.
Yes. Jason,
Greetings.
we're so excited to have you
Yeah.
here.
Likewise. Thanks for
Thank
having
you
me
so
on.
much for joining us.
Yes.
So, and I apologize for that little bit of delay. There's always a little bit of delay, but in order to introduce you to all of those who are watching now live or in the playback, we want to go through your bio. So I am going to start off with Jason Myers, musician, magician, and green witch on a mission. Love that. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Born in 1972, Jason Myers has been a practicing witch since the mid 1980s and is a second degree priest with the Cabot Kent Hermetic Temple in Salem, Massachusetts. He currently lives in a 124-year-old cottage by the forest in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Jason may be best known as the bassist for the pagan traditional heavy metal band Icarus Witch, which he co founded 20 years ago. His group recently released No Devil Lived On, a futuristic witchcraft concept album, their seventh release for Cleopatra Records. They were named one of the two best metal bands from Pennsylvania by the genre's premier outlet, bravewords.com. Icarus Witch has toured the world and played with legendary acts like the late Iron Maiden vocalist Paul Di'Anno, Black Sabbath with Dio, Queensryche, and Twisted Sister. In the studio, they've collaborated on recordings with legends like former Rainbow Deep Purple singer Joe Lynn Turner and Dokken guitar hero George Lynch. For his music, Myers has been featured in top tier magazines such as Guitar World, Bass Player, Classic Rock, Spin, Decibel, and Metal Hammer. Yet he's just as happy to discuss his views on the occult with prominent outlets such as Witches and Pagan, Witches Magazine, The Occult Unveiled, HuffPost, Yahoo Life, or even animal friendly outlets like Chewy. Speaking of animal friendly, Jason became vegan for the animals in the late 1990s after being a vegetarian since the early 90s. To further their environmental activism, he and Aubriana Vietz co founded Litter Wizards, an organization that advocates for and actively removes trash from nature. He's a regular contributor to the Cabot Kent Hermetic Temple newsletter and is currently writing his first book, which explores the intersection between plant based living and nature based spirituality. In 2023, Jason Myers proudly had his 30-year-old handcrafted athame, Shadow Chaser, enshrined in the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic alongside artifacts from his occult icons like Aleister Crowley, Gerald Gardner, Sybil Leek, Laurie Cabot, Oberon Zell, and Raymond Buckland in his home state of Ohio. In early 2024, he was certified by Reverend Mother Laurie Cabot as a psychic tarot reader, which he now does professionally. He's also taken expert courses in astrology and co led a class on practical applications of the Kabbalion. Most recently, Myers was invited to speak at New York Comic Con for the Witches After Dark panel, which also featured
Yeah.
prominent witch authors and organizers Star Ann Ravenhawk, the glam witch Michael Herkus, and panel mastermind Judy Ann Knock. What the
Yeah.
future holds for this pagan eldling, as his high priestess friends Kat Tigner and Tamara Forson refer to him, remains to be seen. And
Yeah.
we will be streaming the ticker of where people can find you, which I believe is icaruswitch.com.
Yeah.
Icaruswitch.com. We'll be streaming that throughout our interview. So thank you, Jason, for
Yeah.
joining us
Yes.
tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thanks,
as
David.
Jason said, I met him at Comic-Con,
Hmm.
in what was it, October 18th. So
Hmm.
that was really wonderful, and it was a great pleasure having him join us here tonight, and having meeting him there as well. So, Rhonda, if you want to begin.
So let's just learn a little bit about who you are, what your instrument of choice is, and what part do you play in your band? I'm guessing
Um,
I already know, but I just want you to dive in deep.
yeah, learn about me. Boy, I just learned about myself with that great intro there. Um, I play bass
Great
guitar.
bio.
I always played bass, was gravitated to it from the beginning. And as far as my role in the band, I'm the co-founder. I'm only original member after 20 years, but I've been sort of the captain of the ship, the one that sort of holds it together.
Right
Right.
on.
So songwriter, co-songwriter, bass player.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. Sounds great. So, how does your
That's
music
fabulous.
play, or what part does it play in your magical path?
Well, I mean, I think it's like intertwined. I feel like, whoa, just spotlight just went on. Did you see that? That was
Yeah, I
fun.
I
did.
know, right? I saw that. It kind of blinked in and out.
You guys are sending off some. It's like, okay, now talk. That
Right.
was weird. Um, I was saying that I think to me, magic and music have always been sort of intertwined because I got into them around the same time. When I was about 13 or so, when you're at that age where you're starting to question things, and that strange transitional time between being a kid and an adult. And um, so my passion for music and my curiosity for the occult just merged from the beginning and kind of were congruent. So, and witchcraft has been part of my life since that time as well. So it's hard for me to separate them. They all
Right.
just sort of overlap most of
Same.
the
Yeah.
time.
Sounds good.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
I actually, my partner is also a musician, so this is like the world I live in. Um,
Cool.
and as a bass player, as a founding member, as a songwriter, and seeing that there's this overlap between your magic and your music, which makes sense because music is magical.
True.
How do you feel that 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 magic, how does it affect your music? Like there are some bands who literally write music that are magic spells, right? So
Hmm.
how does your magic affect your music?
Well, and there's several ways. One of the most prominent ways I think is in the songwriting process. I write the
Mhm.
majority of the lyrics, and I tend to do that through like an automatic writing process. So it's similar
Fabulous.
to when you go into a trance or however you want to think about it, and your the pen's moving, or in this case, usually keyboard. The words are just
Yeah.
kind of coming through you. So I don't always. I feel weird taking credit as a songwriter because I just feel more like a conduit, but that's the role. I feel like I put out my antennas, but it's usually done in a somewhat ceremonial way, whether it's in an actual circle or just being in my environment with the candles and the incense. And if when you live in that environment anyway, and you go into an alpha state, on a regular basis, again, it goes back to how these things overlap. So when I'm writing lyrics, it's coming from a magical place. I'm not,
Right.
even if I were like writing about the events of the day, it would still be done metaphorically through the lens of a pagan perspective in most cases.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I think lyrically is probably the biggest way that you see magic and witchcraft influencing our music. Just whether or not a song is about an occult topic, it's always seen through that lens. So
Right.
that's the best way I can
That's
describe
fabulous.
that.
Okay. All right. Sounds great.
That's
What do you
fabulous.
think? Yeah, right. You probably did a lot of events and things in your performances. What's one of the highlight events that you got to participate in?
Well, I opening for Black Sabbath. I mean,
Wow.
like
Wow.
growing up, that was
That's a definite, like wow.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, they
Yeah.
invented the genre that I'm in, so even though we've been
Right.
around 20 years, they've been around over 50 years. So they were already old school by the time I got in when I was a kid.
Right.
And earlier in our career, we were managed by a lady named Diana DeVille, also a witch, who worked with Dio, Ronnie James Dio, who was the vocalist of Black Sabbath at the time.
Mm.
And they had an opening in Cleveland. We're based in Pittsburgh. And she said, do you want to open for Sabbath on this date? And I was like, oh my God, it was that mix of nervousness and like, hell yeah. So
Yeah.
like most of the things in this band, you agree and then you figure it out later, like those opportunities that come down. It's always been like that. Like, do you want to tour Europe? Yeah. And then
I don't know if anybody would have said no to that, because that would be like, what are you talking about? Absolutely. Yeah.
But sometimes you don't think about like the practicalities of it. Like, does everybody have a passport? Do we have enough money to do this?
Right.
Are we able to get off work for people that have other jobs? But you figure that stuff out because
that was secondary. That was secondary. Just hearing that, you're like, I don't care what we have to do. We are getting there.
Yeah. So the Sabbath gig we've had a lot of really cool experiences, but that was really cool because I remember it was outdoor at this amphitheater on the river in Cleveland. And like, I'd never heard my bass that loud before, and it was just
wow.
We got a sound check. I was like, I couldn't even, we got treated so well there. I thought we were just going to be like, all right, hurry up kids, get out of here. But they, we had all the catering. They rolled out the carpet for us. So it was such a magical day. And I just remember hitting my bass for the first time and hearing it reverberate through downtown Cleveland. I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Whole other level, right?
That was an epic day.
That is fabulous.
That was a long time ago. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Still, that in itself was magic. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is fabulous.
Yeah, and then after we played, we got to sit down and watch their concert. So
yeah,
I would have gone there just for that.
Yeah, that's always going to be that was it. That was it.
No, probably. You never know.
Well, tell us. Well, exactly. The time there's much more time ahead. Having said this, though, we did learn in your bio that you had the seventh release out. Tell us about this release. Tell us about what you guys are planning next. So, yeah.
Well, the album again is called No Devil Lived On, and it was written. We started writing it in the beginning of the pandemic, before we knew it was a pandemic. That was just the time frame that we started getting the songs together, and then the world kind of shut down around us, and there was big periods of time where we couldn't even get together. So we traded files and did stuff like this, met online and wrote it kind of in a void, but we all had a lot of time on our hands. And so we got to experiment with some different things. And one of the things that I wanted to do was a concept album. I had always been a fan of like rock concept albums, like whether it's Pink Floyd or Queensryche or The Who or whoever has these albums where all the songs tie together and tell an overarching narrative. That was something we had never done.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, now we've got some time on our hands. I'm going to give this a try. And right around the same time was when I started studying with Laurie Cabot. And one of the exercises we did in our training was where you go to like a secret room and you basically are going to meet your spirit guides or your deity, and you don't know who you're gonna meet in that room. And when I got there, I met Aradia, and I was like, oh, I know that name. I've heard that name since the early days of studying witchcraft and things like that. But I didn't really know the book too well. I had it, but like I hadn't like studied it in a long time. So I was like, okay,
Right.
this deity is here in front of me, and it inspired me to go back and read the book, but more so than just reading the book Aradia or Gospel of the Witches. I wanted to retell it through more of a modern and a futuristic sense. So that's when my sort of relationship with her really kicked in, and I was like, okay, you tell me your story. Tell me the story. How do you want to tell it to a new generation of people that weren't around in 1899 or whenever this came out? Let's update it a little bit. So we turned it into a story about it. It's still the same basic premise of a deity that comes, an unlikely savior, an unlikely deity that comes down and is sort of the voice of the common people rising up. And I loved that archetype of her from the original story. So in our story, she is kind of like it takes place in the near future, where billionaires are basically like getting ready to leave the planet that they've kind of screwed up and left for the rest of us, and like, we're going to go to planet B now. Sucks to be you. This is going to be an outpost. And Aradia in this version is a stowaway on one of these spacecraft, and the craft crashes in outer space, and she gets I won't go into the full story, but she becomes like an AI deity and starts to like speak to her followers back on Earth through, instead of like the way we speak to our deity through, mental telepathy or however you want to think of that. She's doing that through circuits and through
modern time,
futuristic means,
Yeah.
So that's it in a nutshell. That's how that came about. So a little different.
That really sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So what's coming up? Yeah. So what's coming up next event wise? Because that story sounded so great as it is,
Yeah, we don't have any shows right now. We're kind of taking a break. We're actually writing new music again, but we're probably going to take the winter. Normally our cycle is to write in the winter. We kind of like go into our cave, write, do all the creative stuff, and then emerge in the spring, like the bear coming out of hibernation. So we'll probably do a tour in the spring or early summer. That's usually the pattern. So we're starting to look into some festivals. We'd like to get back to Europe. We do pretty well over in Europe. It's our genre of music has never fallen out of favor there. Like in the US, the trends come and go, but over there, they really like that classic traditional metal. So we'll probably go back to Europe. I don't have any specific dates at the moment, but that's sort of the tentative plan, is to
that's fabulous.
Right in the winter and come back and play hard in the summer.
Right.
Right on. No, that's
great.
That's a fabulous cycle. That's the cycle. So we know, and I'm going to start trailing it again. We know that people can find you at IcarusWitch.com, and that is and your socials, Instagram or wherever else. What other platforms are you on? So it's Instagram,
Facebook, and Instagram, X.
Right on.
Those are the main ones, really, and they're all linked if you go to IcarusWitch.com, or if you just go to those sites and search for Icarus Witch. We're pretty easy to find on all the Twitter, I say X, but mostly Facebook and Instagram are the ones we're most active on.
Right, right. You can go ahead and say X because it's no longer Twitter.
Perfect.
As far as I'm concerned, Twitter did an RIP, and then there's this thing
Yeah.
called X. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I
Right.
kind of left when it became X. I was not willing to stay there, but
Yeah, it's hard to get out of the habit after you've said a certain thing for 12 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like,
understandably. So, yeah, right. So, how can people purchase your music? Where can they find it to purchase?
well, we have a shop on icaruswitch.com.
Okay.
Yeah. We're on Bandcamp, which is a pretty popular site for underground
There you go.
music. And then just the
Yep.
normal places as well. I mean, we're on Cleopatra Records, so they've got pretty good distribution worldwide. So anywhere you get
Awesome.
music, whether it's Amazon or Best Buy, or we prefer to promote indie record stores whenever possible. I used to own an indie record store. I love that. I love supporting the mom and pops. So
Yeah.
and that would always be my first recommendation, to see if your local, if you
Yeah,
still have a local
absolutely.
record store, see if they can get it. Chances are, just tell them wherever they get Cleopatra Records, they can pick up Icarus Switch.
Sounds great. That's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, they can definitely get that. It's a great label. So
Yeah.
happy to thank you so
Thanks.
much for being with us
Heck yeah.
today. We have some people in the chat. Let me just make certain I got everybody. So who is this? Yvette was saying music has always been a magical and spiritual media. It was always a stress reliever since I was 9 years old. Thank you so much, Yvette, for joining us and commenting on for us tonight. We really appreciate you coming in, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
And who knows, we may have you at Witches Fest at some point when you're not busy. That would be nice.
Oh, I would love that. I had such a good time in New York, and Pittsburgh's such a quick flight to New York. I'm like, why don't I need to hang out here more often.
You gotta
Yes,
Well,
yes.
you never know.
Come
July
visit.
2025. I think it's Friday, July 12th. We booked. So I mean, not
so.
Friday, Saturday, July 12th.
Saturday.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's always a Saturday, and usually we try to go for the second Saturday. So it's all good. And we'll see if Jason's available then and could come down and join us.
We should get the whole band out there.
Yeah, right. That would be awesome.
Amazing.
The more the merrier, and everything else with it. I think Judy Ann joined us this past summer.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. It's nice having our local groups and things like that joining us. And it was nice meeting you again at Comic-Con and everything else that we got together and did.
Yeah, it was my honor to sit next to you.
Yeah, we're so honored to have you here with us tonight. So appreciate it very much.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Have a great night. But for the rest of us, here's a message about our other shows here at Magickal Witchy World TV.
All right, we are back, and I'm so sorry because we were not able to do October astrology, so we're gonna do November as best as we can to make up for it. But again, I think every year we kind of have this issue of too much to do in October that we can't keep up. But I'm glad to have you guys back. Okay. So the November horoscope says Pluto in Aquarius will totally transform our world, and I think we're seeing a lot of transformation already. May not be to our liking, but by the end of this month, nothing will look the same, and it's already there. Okay, with the enigmatic and shadowy energy of Scorpio season still in high gear, this week of the month was packed with action, beginning with a profound new moon in Scorpio on November 1st, and then we're gonna have us embrace a worldlier way of thinking and have you broaden your perspective a bit, especially before Mercury starts retrograding here later on this month. Then Mars would saunter into regal Leo, where it will rule with passion before beginning its retrograde next month. But
Hmm.
just before this ingress, the red planet will be opposing power hungry Pluto while connecting with clever Mercury. There are going to be some power games that are coming up and out into the open, and people are going to get strategic about their competitive streaks.
Hmm.
Restraint is advisable given that pleasure seeking Venus will be facing off with abundant Jupiter at the same time. So I want you to hold fast to your monies, preparing for what's to come. Just saying. Because Venus, the love planet, enters industrious Capricorn on November 11th. So it may be worth taking romantic connections a little bit more seriously if that's what you wish. And once Saturn retrograde ends on November 15th, we'll slowly start integrating all the meaningful lessons life has thrown our way lately. And there are many. So whatever
Mhm.
it is, you're going to get some lessons from those things. You'll want to be prepared for anything that comes at you. When the full moon in Taurus lights up our hearts, it's hard to predict how your feelings might shift and how you handle things, but look forward to some powerful revelations that are going to come about. Big changes are brewing as well, as an intensity loving Pluto makes its final entrance into rule breaking Aquarius on November 19th, after teetering over the cusp of this sign for the past year and a half. Some long term transformations are in their beginning stages, personally and collectively as a people of this world. Sagittarius season starts on November 21st, bringing possible optimism and a sense of spontaneity, and cheer will be needed once Mercury retrograde kicks off on November 25th. Because once the logistics planet starts backspinning, planets could easily slip off the rails due to delays, misleading communication, errors, or mental oversights. Then there's the new moon of Sagittarius season, towing the line between 2 months, as it's rising on November 30th at 10:21 p.m. PT, which means it's technically will be December 1st for everyone on the east of the mountain time. In either case, this lunation is a motivating one. Use it to get in touch with your higher aspirations for yourselves or the collective at large, and decide which way you will go. But some may decide to think and do selfishly to survive, and that's okay, since it's best to save yourselves first in order to take care of the collective. All right, so let's
Okay.
look at your November 2024 monthly horoscope for each zodiac sign. And we're going to do the first, I think it's 5 or 6, Aries to Leo right now.
Okay.
Okay.
All
So,
right.
Rhonda,
Well,
let's
then
begin.
let's get started. Getting started with Aries. Aries, your monthly affirmation for November. My heart is open to deep and intimate connections that transform me. Scorpio season has you deep in your feelings, and your horoscope for November 2024, Aries, began with a sensitive but powerful new moon on November 1st. So, your cosmic ruler Mars was vibing with sharp-minded Mercury and spiritual Neptune at the time of this lunation, and you had full access pass to some of the hard to reach corners of your psyche. Grab some of those skeletons and start cleaning house. Speaking of Mars, this red hot planet zipped into your passion zone 2 days later. So on November 3rd, giving you tons of juice when it came to pursuing creative visions and romantic feelings alike. Emotions are still running strong, but you should have an easier time leaning into some lighthearted fun once after the first week of the month. The full moon on November 15th could shake up your finances, but trust that your intuition will guide you toward the next steps. Once Sagittarius season starts a few days later, you'll be able to look beyond your usual routine and see the world for what it is, a magical playground of exciting opportunities. Mercury retrograde might throw a temporary wrench in your plans starting November 25th, but your visions span beyond this pesky backspin. So keep an open mind, especially during the new moon that carries you into December.
All
All
right.
right.
So, Taurus, your monthly affirmations, or Taurians, I give and receive love with courage and conviction. And that's a good thing.
Mhm.
So I'm really happy for that you do that. Your horoscope for November 2024 has some deep transformations in store within yourself and your relationships at large. The Scorpio new moon on November 1st rose in your partnership sector, making it clear what and who you would like to commit to. Pour your whole heart into whatever you choose to start and use this lunation to spark some important conversations about it. The second week of the month finds your cosmic ruler Venus entering your adventure zone. So spice up your love life with some free spiritual fun to break up the emotional intensity that is going on. One of the most important lunar moments of your year comes mid-month, thanks to the full moon in your sign on November 15th. The moon is conjunct innovative Uranus, so set your stubbornness aside. You might surprise yourself and others by covering a new layer of yourself, or rather, uncovering a new layer of yourself personality wise. Emotional boundaries are extra important during the last third of November. And once Mercury retrograde starts on the 25th, some of them might get put to the test. So just think of that intensity wise. Sometimes you can't know your limits until someone tries to step over them. And the new moon that transforms us into December is a good time to take action.
Right
Just
on.
say, all
Okay.
right.
On to you guys, Gemini. Your monthly affirmation, Gemini. Your monthly affirmation is I embrace failure because each failure brings me closer to my success. That is so wise.
That is
Scorpio
profound.
season. Yes, yeah. Scorpio season has kept you busy, and your horoscope for November 2024 doesn't show you slowing down anytime soon. Buckle up. If you haven't been maintaining a healthy work-life balance, the new moon on the November 1st made it clear what priorities should be set straight. Your cosmic ruler Mercury entered your relationship zone on the 2nd, putting your mind on matters of love. Thanks to an opposition between excess loving Jupiter and romantic Venus on your relationship axis. So stay grounded by approaching things with logic. Yeah. The full moon on November 15th is one of inward growth and focus for you. If you truly listen to your inner voice, you might be pleasantly surprised by what you hear. Sagittarius season's fire heats up your relationship zone come November 21st, but beware of interpersonal dramas from the past coming back to haunt you once Mercury retrograde starts on November 25th. Be willing to talk things through, and you may be able to come to some fresh resolutions under the lucky new moon that leads into December. All right,
Yeah.
on to
So
Cancer stuff.
Cancer. Okay. Your monthly affirmation is the spark of inspiration lights a fire within me wherever I go. That's beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
this month is equal parts playful and productive, and your horoscope for November 2024 is off to a sweet start thanks to the new moon on um, Scorpio on November 1st, which allowed yourself to be inspired by your spiritual side, as this mystical lunar energy can add some magic to all facets of your life. Note that vibes get intense that weekend. I did, as high octane
Mm-hmm.
Mars is clashing with power tripping Pluto just before it leaves your sign on November 3rd. Relationship drama is possible, so take deep breaths before blowing up on someone. Luckily, tension in your love life should be easy to resolve once romantic planet Venus starts gracing your partnerships sector on November 11th. Your social network comes into play under the full moon on November 15th, and some unexpected past connections could come in handy. Make room in your calendar for all that's upcoming once Sagittarius season starts on the 21st, because the holidays will get busy quick. And once Mercury starts retrograding, it'll be all too easy to lose track of time. So if you need to revamp your schedule, the new moon that carries you into December will bring some clarity for you. Okay?
Excellent. On to you guys, Leo. This is your monthly affirmation, Leo, for November. Every day I recharge my home with positive energy and welcoming warmth. Scorpio season's depth has you quietly focused on your inner world, but your horoscope for November 2024, Leo, promises to turn up the heat. That new moon we had on November 1st connected you with your roots. It was time to really honor your ancestors and make time and spend some time, or it was necessary to spend some time connecting or reflecting on the past. The moment of introspection is great because once high octane Mars came into your sign on the 3rd, you were going to be you were bursting with energy and and truly motivated. Now it's time to start going after your goals without fear or apprehension. We have the full moon coming up on November 15th, which could drum up some unexpected surprises in your career. So grab the reins of your professional life and ride the waves. It's important to follow your heart and let your passions lead the way, especially during this whole second half of the month, especially once the sun enters fellow fire sign Sagittarius on November 21st. This is a time of renewed inspiration, creativity, and a general lust for life. Not even Mercury retrograde and the parade of ex-lovers it could bring with it could yuck your yum right now. Right on, Leo.
Okay. And we added Virgo. I forgot to add that, but yeah, so it's Aries to Virgo. So
Mhm.
Virgo, your monthly affirmation is: my words are a reflection of my kindness and respect for others. Darn. Wow. Okay. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. The energy of your Virgo horoscope for 2024 is ebbing and flowing, but the new moon on November 1st did promise some deep and open hearted conversations that could have a lasting impact for a while. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable and share what's on your mind, especially given what your chatty cosmic ruler is zooming into your home and family sector the very next day that it occurred. So if there's something you need to get off your chest, make it happen this week. Your love life lights up during the middle of the month, and as amorous planet Venus hits your romance sector on November 11th, followed by committed Saturn wrapping its retrograde in your relationship zone on November 15th. Lighthearted flings could quickly start feeling more serious, so flirt with care. If you'd rather throw caution to the wind, the full moon on the same day is a good time to take a calculated risk in the name of adventure. Once Sagittarius rolls around, you'll be a little more focused on your private life, especially once Mercury retrograde swoops in to stir up old memories. So if you need to settle some family drama, the new moon that transitions us into December is a good time to take care of that. All right. So that's it
Right
for
on.
the astrology part, and we'll do the rest next Friday. All
Next
right.
time.
All
Just
right.
want to chime in that Jason was commenting in the chat that
Oh, he did.
that Gemini horoscope is uncanny. Well, here's here's your month of November, Jason.
Okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we have to now do what? Time to pull a card.
Yeah. All right, Rhonda.
Uh,
So what are we doing tonight?
all the things, all the things. I'm just gonna say we just came through that Scorpio new moon, and it is, Scorpio new moons can be a little challenging. And we've already gone
Mm,
through some it's been a
bumpy
week.
ride.
It's
Yeah, we've
been a
been
week.
traumatized
So
and all kinds of stuff.
yeah, we got we got to get ourselves back get our feet back on the
Yeah.
ground and all the various and sundry. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just want to do a touch base. I really just want to do a touch base for everybody. We're going to head into a Mercury retrograde coming up. We've got a full moon coming up in a week or so. Time to do a touch base, and this is really just to say, how am I doing right now? What's my
How am
best
I
mess? What's
feeling?
my
How am I
best healing?
feeling?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm all up in my
How am I
feelings right
feel?
now.
Right, I'm all up in my feelings, but let's just look at what I can do for healing. What do I need to do for
Okay.
healing right now? What do I
Okay.
need to do for healing? All right.
Okay. Ooh, this is a good
And
one. Okay. As always, pulling these amazing cards, right? So what have you got?
I I got the Emperor.
All right.
This I did they just I'm just saying, this is all Emperor. And again, I'm working with Delos Tarot. I love this deck. It's a cute little deck, Delos Tarot. Um, so the Emperor for me, what is the Emperor telling me right now? What do I need to do for my own healing? I'm just gonna say Emperor energy is telling me own your shit. That's what I'm gonna say, because the emperor really is the part of me that is saying, "You have to put the crown on my head." You know, be your own sovereign, and I need to
Yep.
remember that.
Yep. This
I
is this
am
is
my own sovereign.
yeah.
That is
Kick
what I need
rocks.
to do for my own healing. Yes,
Sorry.
yes.
I was like kick rocks.
What'd you say? Kid Rock?
I said
What?
kick rocks.
Kick rocks. Yeah, kick
Yes.
rocks. I mean,
Kick
I just have
rocks.
to be my own sovereign, put the crown on my
Yeah.
head and know that I set the rules. This is my world and everybody else gets in it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said
Yeah.
it like
Kick
that, but
rocks.
that's
They
the
can
truth.
kick rocks.
That's it. Right on.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. So my card is
Ooh,
this is the Witch's Tarot by Ellen Dugan. I
yes.
love this card. And guess what that says down on
Beautiful.
the bottom?
I can't
It
see
says
that.
karma. It says karma. Okay. But I
Oh, what is
love
that? It's the three.
it's the I can't tell when it's the depending on what it is, but it doesn't matter. I see so
It's
much here.
karma. I can't see. Yeah.
And it has a lot to do with um the solar eclipse, but at the same
Yes.
time that moon for healing and everything else. But solar eclipses
Mm,
always bring a lot of intensity for a while. They go
yes.
for a while, and I think it
Definitely.
affects us until November 12th, if I remember correctly. So there's a lot of things and residuals that's going to be very intense and all the different things. And I think that's in a way telling us that it's going to give us that healing. And if
Mm,
you notice that all their hands were up, their arms were up
yes.
in praise
Yes.
of the moon and
Yes.
whatever it's offering. And it's basically
Yes.
saying, I'm accepting what's coming at me, and
Yes.
it's okay. I will accept it and receive it and deal with it, and allow it to heal me as
Yes.
it comes through me. And because don't forget,
Yes.
the solar eclipses are very intense as it pierces down at us. So I think, um, and also reflecting karma to a lot of things and a lot of people. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
but it
Yes.
is what it
True.
is. And in a way, to me, it's a very protective card because it's healing, but at the same time, it's letting you know a lot of karmic shit's gonna come at you.
Mm.
And life's a bitch, and karma is gonna be bitch. The same thing, you know.
Yeah.
I always say things when it comes to karma, I call it the karmic bitch, but because she plays her
Yes.
hands so close, she holds
No
things close to
playing.
her vest, and she then lets it out. Where it lands, and
Right
you
on.
deserve it, kind of a thing. So I'm taking it as a lot of things, and I like it for what it is because it's protective in the sense that it's healing us, and at the same time being protective and saying, "Watch out! Don't we're going to accept things, and we will take it for what it is, but watch out," kind of a thing. And I'm good with that.
Right
I'm good
on.
with that.
I'm good.
To
But
me,
see, we get the cards we need to get, and that was
yeah,
fabulous.
and I'm in
Was
that mood right now, and
yes,
I'm so
and it's
much that, and it's all good.
yep.
Um,
It's.
but
I just want to say we also have Jason in the chat. He says, "OMG, the Emperor has been following me around since May. He's shown up in nearly every reading this year. Witches." Right on. It's so true. Witches.
kick
How
rocks,
it
kick
is.
rocks.
That's
Okay.
it. That's
So
it.
we're gonna say next week our guest will be Michael Herkes. Can't wait to have him here.
Yeah.
And we want to
Yeah.
thank Jason Myers for being with us tonight and for sharing his
Yes.
thoughts, his ideas, and his music, and enlightening us
Yes.
about a few things. And that was really nice. And Rhonda, Anything else? Oh, the chat. Anyone else in the chat? We want to thank you guys for being with us. And for in the afterplay that we get a lot of people saying things. We want to thank you guys as well. And Rhonda,
Yes.
what would you like us to do?
We ask you always, please do like, share, and subscribe. We really
Yay.
appreciate it.
And yeah.
Thank you
And see
all
you all
so
next
much.
week. Yes, and
See
thank
you next
you.
week.
Okay.